Alright guys, welcome back to another one. So today we've got quite the Kingdom Hearts scoop to talk about, though it's important to keep in mind that this might not necessarily be a scoop of information, it more so could just be a pure scoop of dog shit. This has probably got to be the biggest Kingdom Hearts rumor or claim or supposed leak that we've had from an insider in quite some time. And generally, when we have something that's as substantial and as large as something like this, as these are some pretty wild claims, we generally overlook them. However, when it is coming from someone that actually does have a little bit of a track record, alright, maybe we'll talk about it, maybe we'll pay attention to it, because it is some interesting stuff. The claim here is that a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake, that's right, a remake of the very first Kingdom Hearts game from 2002, is in development and is targeting an early 2027 release, along with Kingdom Hearts 4 releasing winter of 2027 towards the end of the year. Some big-ass stuff. Now, this information is coming from Xbox Insider, XTAS1S, so if you pay attention to the Xbox side of things or spend time in the Xbox community, you'll probably be quite familiar with this name. This guy is mainly known to share information about Xbox first-party titles, and also mainly looking at new Game Pass additions. This is really what he's mainly known for. Though, upon doing some research towards XTAS, they are more so considered to be like a tier 3 leaker, right? So if we think about someone like Nate the Hate, he would be positioned as a tier 1 leaker. Most of the information he shares is completely spot on. Whereas if we're looking at a tier 3 leaker, it's more kind of miss than hit. So that's very important to keep in mind. From an hour's worth of research, I can conclude that most people consider this guy to be
absolutely full of dookie,
but there absolutely has been some things in the past that this person has been correct about, whether it's stuff to do with Elden Ring, Night Rain, Persona 4 Remake, and breaking the news about the Dragon Quest VII Remake before its official announcement, detailing that this is in fact not just a remaster of Dragon Quest VII, but a full-blown remake. This is probably the most important piece of insider information to kind of put on display here. This gives us an idea that XTAS at one point or another has had a Square Enix source, and he has been correct about at least something to do with Square Enix. Apparently, they do have a source who has shared screenshots of this supposed remake and has provided all of this current information. Now let's quickly begin with Kingdom Hearts 4. The only thing that's been mentioned about the game is that it is supposedly meant to be launching winter of 2027, so towards the end of next year. And to be fair, while we have said that there's no way that Kingdom Hearts 4 will release in the same year as Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, as we're pretty sure that will be an early 2027 release, somewhere in Q1, I think it is possible for like a November-December release of Kingdom Hearts 4. Square Enix wouldn't typically release two AAA big bangers like within the same year, but if there is that much time apart from both titles, then yeah, I can personally see that happening. If we think about it, like back in 2023, Square Enix dropped two AAA games in the same year, and there were only so many months between the two. This was both Forspoken and Final Fantasy 16. So it has happened before, it's just not common for them to drop two AAA flagship IPs within the same year. And honestly, that would be a really cool way to kickstart this new era of Square Enix. As we know, their 3-year reboot phase will be coming to an end in 2027, with both Remake Part 3 and Kingdom Hearts 4 as the first major games to release to mark a new beginning for Square Enix. But let's talk about the juicy goose in this conversation, the Kingdom Hearts 1 remake, titled Kingdom Hearts Relux. Now when you look at this title, at first it's a little bit strange, but honestly it does make sense. Lux in Kingdom Hearts is known as light, so this would be like technically Relight. I actually think it's a pretty fitting name or subtitle for a Kingdom Hearts remake. It is oddly specific, and I can't really imagine that XTAS would be a Kingdom Hearts fan, so it's interesting that it is called that. That gives maybe a little bit of credit to this situation, unless he's done his research. I don't know. As I mentioned before, apparently he has received some images of the remake, but the provider has requested images not to be shared. So this is the typical leaker has the receipts, but leaker will not show receipts out of respect for source. Apparently it is completely updated graphically while maintaining the original aesthetic, and it is apparently also developed by the makers of Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion, the remake of Crisis Core. So Crisis Core Reunion is more or less basically the original game with an Unreal Engine skin on top, similar to what we saw with Ninja Gaiden 2 and the remake of it. It's still technically the same game running in the background, just with some UE graphics on top, acting as a new coat of paint. So these two pieces of information here make me think that it might still technically be the very first Kingdom Hearts game, just with that UE visual update. Same core combat mechanics and locations, however with some new additions such as expanded areas in Halloween Town and Traverse Town. So here's the thing, if Square Enix are truly going to remake a Kingdom Hearts game and it isn't at the same level as Final Fantasy VII Remake, where it's kind of an alternate version of the original game, rewriting certain things, then how can you still provide the exact same experience that won't impose on the already established story, but also offer some new content in the mix as well? Well, you would do things such as expanding worlds, making them a little bit larger. It does mention here same core combat mechanics, so again, it is like making me think that it is still the original Kingdom Hearts, just with a new coat of paint on top. And to be honest, that would be fine, only because I wouldn't want them to change the combat system and its mechanics overly too much. Not really looking to get like a Kingdom Hearts 2 level combat system within Kingdom Hearts 1, because from a narrative point of view, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's Sora's introduction to the Keyblade. He doesn't really know how to handle himself in combat. It's not until Kingdom Hearts 2 where he starts to really shine when it comes to his skill set. And to be fair, I don't think there's like a lot of things that Square Enix would actually need to change with Kingdom Hearts 1 for a remake, because the game has honestly aged incredibly well. Genuinely, the only thing that I would want changed would be the gummy ship system. Just make it a little bit more interesting. I'm not saying, alright, change it up to Kingdom Hearts 2 gummy ship system or Kingdom Hearts 3's open world gummy ship system, but just make it a little bit more interesting. Because, yeah, the gummy ship system in the OG isn't really that great. A little bit boring. There is the mention here of a brand new world, the Jungle Book. As we know, Square Enix have been attempting to put the Jungle Book into basically every single Kingdom Hearts game, but ultimately deciding to cut it every step of the way. This is the world that almost always makes it, but then it meets the cutting room floor. This is where you start to get into the realm of like, okay, so you're adding entirely new content here that would have to have some relation to the main overarching story. Kind of interesting, but I imagine that this world would be used as a replacement for Deep Jungle. As we know, there are some rights issues when it comes to the use of the Tarzan IP and Disney. This is why we don't really see Disney using or doing anything with the Tarzan IP nowadays, as it is owned by Edgar Rice Burroughs. This is also why Deep Jungle has never appeared in another Kingdom Hearts game since the very first game. So I imagine that Jungle Book here would be used in place of Deep Jungle. But this would technically mean that Square Enix are completely writing Deep Jungle out of Kingdom Hearts, not actually counting it as canon. So what, the original OG Kingdom Hearts 1 is no longer considered to be the true canon version because it features a world that isn't now a part of the story? This is where things get a little bit sticky. Apparently there are new playable Riku segments, and Kate Sith supposedly makes an appearance. Again, these are some very interesting claims. Kate Sith? Okay, I definitely want Kate Sith to be in Kingdom Hearts. That would be sick. And it's interesting that it is mentioned in the same breath as new playable Riku segments, so maybe Kate Sith is the Final Fantasy character that has something to do with Riku during his time in Kingdom Hearts 1, which I actually like the idea of, considering that Reeves, or Kate Sith, is kind of like a puppet to Shinra, and eventually he breaks loose of the Shinra shackles. Riku kind of has a similar arc in Kingdom Hearts 1, where he's being used by Maleficent. He is a puppet of Maleficent, and ultimately a puppet of Ansem. So there is kind of this interesting connection between both characters. However, new playable Riku segments is actually kind of a cool thing to give us more of a perspective of what Riku was getting up to throughout Kingdom Hearts 1. As we know, we get the odd cutscene throughout the first game that kind of shows us what Riku is getting up to, and then eventually our paths cross in Neverland, Monstro, Traverse Town. But it would be cool to see Riku learning his dark powers, along with learning how to use the Soul Eater. This is the type of addition that doesn't hinder or impact the story overly too much and can actually add to what is already established. There is apparently a re-recorded opening song with another artist to accompany Hikaru Utada, so a new version of, I guess, Simple and Clean. Not surprising if there is going to be a remake of the first game, there would be a new version of Simple and Clean. Curious to know who the other artist is. Maybe they get like Skrillex back again, who knows? But let me bring up the two things here that's a little bit like, okay, this is Sussy Baka. The first one here is, apparently it's composed of the remains of the cancelled Missing Link. I don't know how like the two correlate at all. Does this mean that like what, they're using the assets of Missing Link for a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake? And that doesn't make sense. Like really none of the locations, bar some of like the worlds that was supposed to be in Missing Link, maybe relate to Kingdom Hearts 1, but for the most part there really can't be much asset reuse for a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake. Is it more so that the team working on Missing Link then shifted focus to help out with the development of a Kingdom Hearts 1 remake? I don't really understand this. But the biggest stick in the mud here was that it was originally targeting 2026 as a Switch 2 exclusive, but he says could be delayed to 2027 due to the shift in priority to multi-platform. And the OP of the Reddit post here that's basically bullet pointing this information mentions that this point instills the most doubt in me because I'm pretty sure Square was already in the multi-platform push phase by the time Missing Link got cancelled. Yes, they absolutely were. This was announced by Square Enix a couple of years ago at this point. So there isn't going to be a reality going forward where it seems like Square Enix are going to drop a game that will be exclusive to a specific platform, but more so to drop a remake of a game that would be exclusive to Switch 2? Like, what? That makes zero sense. This piece of information right here is like absolutely the biggest red flag. So that is basically all you need to know about the Kingdom Hearts 1 remake. Now here's the thing. A lot of us right now are asking like, does this even need to happen? Like, why? Because the first game holds up so incredibly well. And more so, if there is a Kingdom Hearts game that absolutely needs to be remade the most, it's number one, Union Cross, as it contains vital story information for the future of Kingdom Hearts 1. It's no longer accessible and was originally a mobile phone game. Or number two, one of the fan favorites, 358 over 2 days. That would be incredible. However though, if we're looking at this through a money-making business lens, what remake of a Kingdom Hearts game is going to sell the absolute best? That doesn't just appeal to hardcore fans, but can appeal to the wider audience. That would probably be either a remake of the first or the second game. Kingdom Hearts is no stranger to remakes. We've had two in the past with Recoded as well as Rechain of Memories. We know that Square Enix absolutely love their remakes. They've shipped out a bunch of them for Final Fantasy, and same also goes with Dragon Quest in recent times. Kind of seems only inevitable that the same is going to happen with Kingdom Hearts sooner or later. This honestly could be a great way to kickstart up the interest in Kingdom Hearts yet again shortly before Kingdom Hearts 4. And I imagine also adding some additional story stuff in there that will relate to the future of Kingdom Hearts, or maybe have some stuff that was planned in Missing Link story-wise from the past to be present in that game somehow too. Sure, it makes zero sense, but hardcore fans gonna lose their minds seeing a remade version of the very first game. For most people, this is what got them into Kingdom Hearts. And even for people that have loosely played Kingdom Hearts way back in the day, will see this and be like, oh, this is a great starting point. And also, I played the first game all of that time ago, and now it looks like this is kind of cool. Count me in. From a business perspective, this actually does make a ton of sense. I will say though, this will get a laugh out of me, like a true, genuine, from the soul laugh out of me if this turns out to be real. because Square Enix have spent the past 10 plus years re-releasing the Kingdom Hearts games time and time again, trying to spread them across every single platform possible like the fucking Black Plague. So to get yet another Kingdom Hearts re-release would sort of be like, yeah, you really are trying to milk this nipple dry, but I am here for every second of it. Going back to it though, they really need to try and retain the original as much as possible if they ever are going to actually remake this game, because as it stands still, after receiving so many Kingdom Hearts games, Kingdom Hearts 1 is the most unique out of all of the entries. That's the charm and the foundation of Kingdom Hearts 1. It feels very much more like an RPG compared to any of the other games that came after it, and if that's lost in transition to a remade version, then people just won't be interested. So a massive claim to be sure, but just keep in mind that it could very likely be a situation where this guy is just talking out of his ass. At the same time though, he does have a little bit of a track record, and also, it just kind of seems bizarre to bring up Kingdom Hearts if it is fake. Why not something massive to do with Xbox, as that's his audience? I will say though that like releasing a remake of the very first game at the beginning of the year and then dropping the fourth game at the very end of the year, that's an interesting move. Maybe that was like a tentative release schedule for both games, and that number 4 will be pushed to early 2028. I don't know, some crazy stuff for sure. So let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Do you want to see a remake of Kingdom Hearts 1? And what do you think about Kingdom Hearts 4 possibly releasing at the end of 2027? If this is truly going to happen, this means that we will hear about it at some point this year, as obviously Square Enix will need to market it. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Be sure to slippity slap that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Big shout out to my wonderful patrons and YouTube members. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk again real soon.